No. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the last regular council meeting of the year 2025. And I'm honored to call it to order at 6:03 p.m. Any volunteers to deliver the land acknowledgement? The town of Smoky Lake respectfully acknowledges that we are situated on the Treaty 6 territory, the traditional lands of First Nation and Métis people. Any adoptions or, any additions or deletions to the agenda? I'm gonna do some quick edits and a little bit of housekeeping. I have 4 points, if you would indulge me.
Sure.
Okay. And so I'd like to move for council consideration from 12.1 D, the physician healthcare media release, into correspondence 11.1. That's okay, and I'll speak to that at that time. The second point of clarity is an edit under 14.2. Technically, that is called 55. You've been known it as a Whiter Street, 55 Whiter Street. Technically, on the assessment, it's 55 Wheatland Avenue and 185 Whiter Street. So we need to once and for all correct that, if you please. Just moving forward, that's okay.
But even on MLS, it's listed as the other address.
Yeah, so we want it to be the correct one and reflect that. And I'm going to add a motion under 10.1. When we get to that, it'll be really quick, okay? Just so that you know, there's nothing in the council reports, but there will be a motion for clarification. And then the only addition would be 14.2, 14.3. We do a draft agenda item amongst myself and admin. And so, because there's no minutes from December 4th, I'm not sure where we left off with the CAO check-in. So I do want to put it in 14.3. I don't even think it would go into closed session. There's just 2 motions that might come out of that discussion. But when we get to there, I'm sure I'd be happy to clarify and with CAO fighting as well, just for some housekeeping. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
Councillor Kudlak has the motion to adopt the agenda with the amendments. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. Moving on to the timelines. What we'll do really quickly is the 3.1 December 2nd, 2025 regular council meeting minutes. Councillor Scarf, are you okay to adopt them or accept them as presented?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All in favor? The motion is carried. 3.2 December 3rd, 2025 regular council meeting minutes from the capital budget meeting. Councillor Rosicek, are you okay to accept those as presented? There was no additions or corrections. Okay, thank you. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. And without further ado, we welcome Israel Wasserman from the JDP Wasserman auditor, our financial auditor for the town of Smoky Lake. Thank you, and thank you for joining us online. And the floor is yours. Would you like to? Sorry, Israel. Because we're a new council, I'd like to go around the room and just do some roundtable introductions so that we all have a chance to say hello and meet you. And I can start off. And we met before, previous council, and my name is Marianne Prosky-Zaruski. I'm previous council and now the mayor. Thank you.
Dan Kudlak, Deputy Mayor.
Nice to meet you. Tegan Scarf, Councillor.
We'll go John and then Pam.
John, we've met, Public Works Manager.
There.
Yes.
I don't want to sound a really member. I like John. I am Development Officer.
Molly.
Hi, I'm Molly Fighton, CAO Town of Smoky Lake. We briefly talked, so nice to see your face on the screen.
Yes, nice to see you.
Crystal.
I'm here, Israel. I know you.
Nestor Rosicek, you counselor.
Bruce Churn, counselor.
It's
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you all.
Thank you, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, so I think I heard you guys saying that I have about a half an hour before the
Yeah.
next person.
Couple of hours at least.
Okay, because I could speak forever on finances. This could be a 10-minute presentation or a 10-hour presentation. But anyways, what do you guys want as council? What do you guys want to see? Do you want me to go over last year's 2024 financial statements? Are you more interested in the position as of October 31st, 2025? Where's your priority for this presentation?
Uh, where we're at now,
Right now?
yes.
Okay.
Um,
So, do you guys all have copies?
Sorry.
You had a question?
I'm just looking, sorry, Israel, I'm looking in context of the agenda. And the RFD that was prepared for us was leaning you towards the balance sheet and the financial statement. So I think that's.
That is correct, but we have two. We have the balance sheet and the financial statements as of December 31st, 2024. We also have an interim balance sheet and financial statement as of October 31st, 2025. Now there's pros and cons to both. The December 31st, 2024 financial statements are finished. They're complete, they're audited. I can speak affirmatively to each and every line item as being accurate. The October 31st, 2025 financial statements is simply your your interim financial statements, taking the information that's currently in your general ledger and your trial balance. I have not audited them. I have not reviewed them. And there's actually some things that are not in there because they don't get put in until year end. So you kind of see where we're leaning. I can briefly talk on both if you'd like. I can start with the December 31st, 2024, and then segue into October.
Yeah, that would be good, and
I'll try to hit only the most important areas.
yeah, and then after explaining to council, new council, on the items that are not entered in the
You bet.
financial statement that we're responsible for, but it doesn't show up in the books till year end.
You bet. I can definitely go over that.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so starting off, let's start off by taking a look at the December 31st, 2024 financial statements. The very first statement we're going to look at is the statement of financial position. What the financial position says is this is where the town is at on this day. So it's giving you a snapshot in time as of December 31st, 2024. Here are all of the financial assets of the town. Here are all the financial liabilities of the town. This is your net financial assets, and then gives you your non-financial assets, and then the total overall accumulated surplus as of December 31st. So once again, the statement of financial position is your snapshot in time of where the town is at on that day. So taking a look at the statement of financial position and specifically the financial assets, we'll take a look at cash. You'll see your cash at the end of 2024 was 397,000. That is down 511,000 from 2023. Well, we have a 2.7 million increase from operations. So you would kind of, oh, well, we have this big surplus. Why aren't we seeing a big increase in our cash? Well, we also have 3 million of that surplus was used to purchase tangible capital assets. Another 179,000 was moved from cash into restricted cash. You take those three amounts, and that is the material or the majority of the reason that you see that drop. Taking a look at restricted cash, like I said, we moved 179,000 from cash into restricted cash. What restricted cash is, it's the sum of your total deposits that you hold on behalf of other persons. It's your tax surplus liability account. It's also funds held in trust. You add all of those up, and those are the funds that you have cash, but it's already been set aside for other purposes. Also included in here is your unspoken for deferred revenue, not your total revenue. And what I mean by unspoken for deferred revenue is if you take your total revenue, you subtract your accounts receivable from government grants, the difference is the unspoken for, and that is part of your restricted cash. Now, the next one is your tax receivable. Your current taxes, so overall your tax receivable went down by 56,000. However, when we break that down, your current taxes increased by 28 and your arrears decreased by 64. So that's a good thing because you want to see if you see anything decrease, you want to see it decrease in the arrears side of tax receivable. You don't want to see those arrears keep on climbing because then that shows a collection problem. Take a look at trades and other receivables. There, from an audit perspective, this is actually pretty close because in your trade and other receivables, you tend to see a fluctuation year over year, just depending on when the year end falls, what day of the month it falls. Does it fall on a Friday? Does it fall on a Wednesday? 2 days can make a big difference on the amount of receivables that you have on your books at year end. The total increase of 77,000. 68,000 is an increase in your utilities receivables. Due from other governments, that's decreased. So your grants receivables from other government decreased by 1 million. So that means you've collected a million of the 4.4 million that was set up in 2023. You've collected 1 million, bringing it down to 3.4 million. Now that 1 million collection is the net. That takes into account the new additions minus what was collected. To be specific, the amount that was collected, the large amount that was collected in 2024 was the AMWWP grant. The note receivable, that is the loan that was provided to the Smoky Lake Development Corporation. We show it still outstanding in 2024, but we all know that in 2025, this amount has now been recovered. So that full 590, which is the principal amount, has been recovered in 2025. And we'll see that when we look at the statement for next year.
Israel, if you don't mind, can we just put some questions on the floor at this time?
You sure can.
Thank you. I think, go ahead.
So that 590,000, who was that to?
The Smoky Lake Development Corporation.
The MCC.
So is that the Métis thing?
Yeah, but was there something beyond that as well?
It was tied to the Métis Crossing development. And
So that's the
we're
one
supposed to
we-
be in
when-
partnership.
A third, the county, a third, and
Yeah.
they were supposed to. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Tourist company.
Okay.
So it started as the MCC and then it went to this Smoky Lake Tourist Company and then everything that happened.
Got it.
Okay. And then the other, if you don't mind, the other acronym they used for the grant was the Alberta or the Water for Life grant. Is that correct?
The water.
Water, wastewater.
For the reservoir?
Yeah.
Okay. And sorry, do you mind to say that amount again? Or
Sorry. $1 million was collected on that grant. Remember, we're talking about December 31st, 2024. So we've
Yeah.
collected more since then.
thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
so land held for,
Go ahead. Keep going. Thank you.
okay. Land held for resale. This is land that the town holds and has it up for sale. It includes your regular lots, but it also includes the tax forfeiture lots, which there were 2 at the end of 2024. Now you see that there's an increase of 125,000 when looking at 23 versus 2024. But there was still a lot of activity that was going on in 2024. For instance, there was one lot that was purchased for 138,000. 2 lots are held in trust as tax forfeiture properties, which the adjusted cost base was added in 2024 in the amount of 53,000. 3 lots had additional costs allocated to their adjusted cost base in the amount of 25,000. And then there was 13 lots sold in 2024 with a total accumulated adjusted cost base of 90,000. So that would bring that value down.
So I have a question for you on that land sales. That regarding the Cola Creek properties. On the books, did they have was there a set price of the valuation of what those lots costed to work against
Yeah.
sale of the lots?
Yep, I got it. I'm pulling it up now.
Okay.
Okay, so looking at the total lots, we have the book value or the cost of those lots being 371,476. The assessment value would be the residual assessment value would be 719,000.
Divided by how many lots?
The number of lots that were at the end of the year are 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, but this is total. This, the total amount of lots, so we know what the development cost at total.
Oh, there was 19 lots.
There's 19 lots, okay. So basically 20 grand a lot. At 371.
No, it actually cost them 82,000 after
A
we
lot.
finished doing the development. So that's just another number from,
I have a total of 17 lots at the end of 2024. So
Oh,
on December
yeah.
31st, 2024, I had 17 lots.
that's including all the other lots in the area.
That includes the tax forfeiture lots. And the individual cost of each lot varies from as little as 3,800 up to 1,300 or 138,000. Okay. We do have one lot that is slightly offside, meaning that the adjusted cost base or the cost of that lot is higher than the assessed value. But I talked to Crystal about that last year, and we'll address setting up a allowance for doubtful account in the 2025 financial statements for that.
And sorry, just to confirm, Israel, we're still talking about that subdivision of Public Creek, or now we changed the topic?
When I do my analysis, I don't do it based on subdivision. I do it based on the individual lots themselves.
Thank you.
So I go lot by lot by lot.
Thank you.
Okay, and then your investments. So your investment, that's just the initial investment in the Smoky Lake Development Corporation. Total financial assets at the end of 2024, 6.2 million, or a decrease of 1.2 million. Now, taking a look then at your financial liabilities, or just your liabilities, you'll see that your accounts payable and accrued liabilities increased by 380,000. Again, we don't consider this increase, even though it's a large percentage, we don't consider it unusual, especially based on the projects that are being completed near year end. That's why we go in and we do a test on the invoices that have been accrued at year end, and we look at them to make sure that they've been accrued in the proper period, that they have proper approval, and that they actually do clear in 2025. So I was able to go in and verify that these amounts, that the proper amount was established in 2024. Your deposit liabilities, the biggest increase, you'll see there's an increase of 104,000, is that there was a tax sales surplus. So there was a property that was sold in order to recover taxes. The surplus of that sale, after the town took its property tax and after the town took its fees, then goes into this deposit liability account, meaning that those funds need to now be returned to the original property owner. Your deferred revenue. So total deferred revenue went from 4.2 down to 2.2. So just in case there's some people who don't know what deferred revenue is simply the funds that the town has received but not yet spent. If you don't spend those monies, then the money goes back to the contributor or to the funder. That's why it shows up as a liability. Ultimately, though, when you do spend those funds, that 2.2 million you see there will be recognized as revenue. So another way to look at it is just unrecognized revenue. And once you spend the money, then you get to recognize it as revenue. Any questions on that? Okay. Your long-term debt, well, we see a $57,000 reduction in the principal portion of the long-term debt. That's your normal annual servicing of the long-term debt. Contaminated liability. So you accrued liability for 2 old gas well sites and the former landfill site that's within the town. And those represent the future costs of that liability. And then you have asset retirement obligations, which is different than the contaminated site liability. Your asset retirement obligation, that's the future cost of bringing an asset out of service. So for instance, if you have a building that has asbestos in it, then the town is obligated to anticipate the useful life of that building when the town plans to pull that out of service and what the remediation costs will be to handle that asbestos. That amount we look at the end of the year, each and every year, and go over that. So overall, what we saw was your financial assets going down by 1.2, but your financial liabilities, going down by 1.5. So overall, your net financial assets increase by 300,000 because your debt went down more than the assets. Yes, sir.
I do have one question regarding the contaminated site liabilities. You mentioned the old landfill. Are we still partnership with the county on that? Are they still responsible for 50% of those costs too?
Not that I know of.
Because they were supposed to be. They were supposed to be 50% responsible on it. Just so things don't fall through the cracks.
Is there an agreement or?
There was supposed to have been an agreement in place.
This is from years gone by, obviously.
We should add that to the action list to check on that.
Just,
It's hard to say, because I know that
Like,
landfill.
How much, okay,
Because it's been-
how much is left to be cleaned up?
it's been decommissioned for a very long time. So I just want to make sure, everybody's paying their fair share.
Yeah.
We should.
So things don't.
So we can maybe take a look at our motion after the presentation.
Yeah.
That'd be fine.
Thank you, go
Okay, thank you.
continue.
Just so you know, I do have a note on my audit file to dig in deeper on that and to ask for the actual agreement, the status of the cleanup at where we're at, because we should possibly be looking at changing that estimate, based on the percentage of completion.
Yeah.
Well, there's still those, monitoring wells there.
Yeah, but as long as they're
That's
sitting there
ongoing.
and the costs, like the time value of money, right? Costs are going to start increasing the longer you let them sit there.
So I'm just asking Dan approximately what year, so he'll think about it, maybe for the motion.
Well, the best year or the best way of finding out is I can get you a date because it was same time as when the transfer station was being put in.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Go ahead.
Okay, so now after we've looked at our net financial assets, what we're left with is the non-financial assets that are tied up and are meant for use for long term. So one of that is inventory held for consumption. So that's all your supplies and parts and grader parts and I don't know, RV hydrants and oil filters and pretty much everything. And the town does a detailed count at the end of the year, and I do review that count that they provide. Now we want to make sure that value doesn't keep increasing year over year over year, because the more supplies you keep on hand, that increases your risk of theft, risk of things just being lost, and so forth.
No obsolescence.
Obsolescence, exactly. So that number, it's small and often gets overlooked, but we still want to pay attention to that. Our prepaid expenses, again, we go over prepaid expenses. We make sure it's being calculated properly by the town. Your prepaid expenses are simply the things that you've paid for now, but belong to the next year. So you've already paid $27,000 for stuff in 2024 that doesn't get expensed until 2025. Most common is insurance. The next one is your tangible capital assets. So this is the depreciated value, the total amount of capital assets purchased minus what they've already been depreciated or written down. And the total for the year is 11,303,000, or a 2.57 million increase from the previous year. As mentioned above, in 2024 there was 3 million in purchases, but 500,000 in depreciation or amortization. And that's how you end up with the 2.5. And that leaves us with a total increase in accumulated surplus of 2.9 million, which also represents our surplus for the year that we'll see on the statement of revenue and expenses. So let's go now to the next financial statement, which is the statement of revenue and expenses. Okay, your statement of revenue and expenses, your net municipal property tax is very close to what you budgeted, and it generally is. It's usually within a few $1,000s. The variance to budget is 7,586, and your variance to 2023 was only 50,727. Your user fees, again, the difference between what happened in 2024 is very much the change is negligible when compared to the budget of 2,205,000. And you see a standard increase from 2023. Your user fees, you tend to see a slight increase year over year over year, unless you see something like COVID happens and then it tanks. Your penalties and costs on taxes, again, nothing unusual there. The penalties and costs on taxes are pretty much out of the town's control, and it's dependent on when property owners pay their property taxes. Your franchise and concession contracts, well, that's dictated by the contract that you guys sign. So again, very, very little fluctuation there when compared to prior year and to the budget. Your licenses and permits, again, very little fluctuation, nothing unusual. When you take a look at total percentage, you're looking at about a 20% variance from budget. I think the budget was basically established looking at 2023 actuals. And 2024 just ended up with about close to $4,000 increase. Your investment income. Your investment income, the town historically provides a very conservative budget in that regard. And every year we always seem to report a large surplus when compared to budget. Interest rates are decreasing. So you'll see that decrease from 2022, it decreased down to 2023, 2023 decreased down in 2024. I'm expecting in 2025 we should see something comparable to 2024. But again, I don't know that until year end when I do a detailed analysis of your investments and do a reasonability check on your interest rates. Government transfers from operating. So at year end, we take a look at the grant agreements from the government. We ensure that the town is in compliance. Once we ensure the town is in compliance, then we apply the grants from deferred revenue into government transfers for operating. So when you take a look, you'll see that the budget variance was $389,000. When we take a look at what makes up, you have an ACP grant, which equals $214,000. You have the solar panel project, which was $200,000, and the local government fiscal framework of $133,000. When I look at the individual line items in 2024, those were the variances that I found, was in those three agreements. Then taking a look at your total expenses. Overall, your expenses are categorized based on expense category, your legislative, general administration, protective services, transportation, environmental, etc. Your total variance legislative expenses was $32,000 and only a $6,000 decrease from the previous year. So not only did you decrease your legislative expenses from 2023 down to in 2024, you are still 32,000 less than you had originally anticipated. Your general government decreased by 40,000 from 2023 to 2024, but you were slightly over by 9,700 when compared to your budget. Looking at your legislative and your general administrative together, they have a budget variance of 23,000. So you underspent by 23,000 in those areas. Protective services overspent by $5,862. Transportation overspent by 90,000. Now, again, when taking a look at transportation, even though you've overspent by 90,000 when looking at the budget, you've actually decreased your expenses from 2023 to 2024. So you have to keep both of those variances in mind when making decisions based on this information. Your environmental. Okay, so this is where when you guys do your budget, municipalities never budget for amortization or depreciation. And the town of Smoky Lake has almost $500,000 in depreciation. So now when we start to get into areas that are capital intensive, such as your water distribution and your sewer, you're going to start seeing huge variances between your budget and your actuals, because your budget, again, doesn't include the amortization. So when you take a look here and you see, oh, our budget is overspent by 249,000. Well, of that 249,000, you have 80 plus 47 plus 4, 131,000 of that is amortization, an unbudgeted item, which is standard. Every municipality doesn't budget for depreciation. Your recreation and culture had almost a 50% reduction from 2023. However, if you take a look at your budget, you can see that that was anticipated. That's something that you guys had planned. And again, when looking at your variance on your other, which is your gas and your solar projects, that again is capital intense and has a lot of amortization. But now let's take a look at this. Will kind of highlight the whole thing. When looking at your 2024 actual expenses as a whole, 4.3 million, and your budget of 3.7 million, you have a 565,000 variance. Of that 565,000, 500,000 is amortization. So really, you guys were only out by, out of a $3.7 million budget, you guys were only out by $65,000, which is pretty darn good, which is pretty close. Now we might have some allocation issues, between the different departments. But overall, what is that? 65 divided by 3,784. That's 1%, 1.7%. Okay, now looking at our other income. So your annual surplus or your annual deficit for 2024 was 32,000. From that 32,000, we now have to add on our government transfers for capital, our other contributions for capital, and our gain on the disposal of tangible capital assets. So once we add that stuff on, our total surplus for the year was 2.9 million. Now we have to be careful when we look at, some people say, oh, well, the town had a surplus of 2.9 million. You've taxed us too much. There's too much revenue. Well, you got to remember, of that 2.9 million, 3 million was used to purchase tangible capital assets. So it's already been spent to build your infrastructure. And it doesn't show up on the statement of revenue and expenses. Is there any questions on that?
Just
Go ahead, Bruce.
on the previous page on liabilities,
Yes.
the long-term debt, we went from 2024 from 631,000 to 1.8 million. Was that the 1.2 for the water tank?
Okay, so that's looking at the 2025 compared to 2024, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so Crystal, can you explain the new debt that was brought on by the town?
Yeah, it's for the new water reservoir, yeah.
The 1.2, okay.
And that's in the borrowing bylaw.
All right,
Okay, so I'm gonna start going a little bit faster because I know I'm already over my half hour. Okay, taking a quick look at 2025 versus 2024. First of all, obviously 2025 is only up to October 31st. I haven't audited, I haven't double checked anything. I've done a limited dive into what actually makes up these numbers. When you see a huge increase in our cash, almost 3.2 million to be exact. The primary contributions to cash inflows in 2025 to date are collections from other government agencies, the settlement of trade receivables, the repayment of loan principal from the Smoky Lake Development Corporation. Together, these items account for 3.07 million of the total increase in cash. Additional funds in the amount of 1 million was obtained from long-term debt or from your loans. However, your accounts payable were paid out in the amount of 1 million, bringing us to the total 3.17 million. Your restricted cash, well, you see that restricted cash decreased by 561,000. Now, this is one of the areas that you can't really look at until year end, because a big chunk of restricted cash is the deferred revenue netted against the government receivables. And I determine that at year end when I do the reconciliation of the government grants, the deferred revenue and the projects that were completed by the town. And then I do the entry to determine what component is restricted, and then I move it from cash into restricted. So that's one of the areas that's going to be a little bit difficult to look at when you're looking at an interim statement. When you're looking at the taxes receivable is a useful thing to look at throughout the year and to monitor on a regular basis. We see that the property tax receivable has increased by 89,000 in 2025. However, there's still 2 more months worth of activity to go, November and December. And there could be a material amount of taxes recovered in those 2 months. It is reasonable that the amounts will decline with November and December. And when you compare the percentage of tax receivable to the total property tax revenue in the year, we're already 3% lower than where we were in 2023. So in 2023, at the end of the year, 35% of our total tax revenue was in receivables. We're at 32%, and it's only October on this report. So we're already in a better position in 2023, but haven't quite hit where we were at 28% in 2024. Your trade and other receivables has decreased by 225,000. Again, trade receivables and trade payables, those fluctuate, and it really depends on when you run the report. If we ran this report the day after Crystal does a deposit, or a day after Crystal does a check run, then our receivables will be a lot lower than a normal day that you would see, let's say, between right in the middle of two check runs or two deposits. So that one you have to be careful when looking at it in an interim period. Taking a look at the 225,000, the largest decrease is in the utility receivables component. They were the largest contributor to the reduction. We also reclassified 43,000 from other receivables to the note receivable. So you see that 43,498 under notes receivable? That is actually the interest receivable on the 590. So we recovered the 590, but there's still 43,498 in interest that we recorded as revenue in previous years that is receivable to the town. Now, I believe there is a discussion of possibly writing that 43,498 off as uncollectible. But that's something you guys will need to discuss and make a motion on.
So that, what you're saying is that 43,000 was supposed to be interest from that 590,000?
That's correct.
Okay,
But only the 590 principal was returned with no
Right.
interest. So then as the auditor, before I can write that off, I need to see a motion saying that you guys approve that write-off.
Yeah, so we left it in the company for operating expenses.
I have to do some digging just to see and if
Okay.
anything to bring
Yeah.
back.
We'll come back to you on that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something I need today.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, definitely.
because
Okay.
the company's still left open and it's available for any other opportunities that might come out of that to move forward.
I understood they didn't have that in an interest-bearing account, that money. Or is it just accountants, you never gonna charge them interest on that money? We'll deal with that
Yeah.
later. Okay,
Okay, so now when you take out land, look at due from other governments, you'll see that due from other government has a decrease of 2.2 million. Again, I looked at your general ledger, the detailed transaction, and I saw that 2 million was collected in relation to the AMWWP water reservoir project. However, as an auditor, I wouldn't say for a fact that this is the true balance without doing my government grant deferred revenue reconciliation. Because you're due from other governments, your deferred revenue and your contributions for capital and contributions for operations are all tied together. And all of that needs to be, it's a pretty complex reconciliation done at year end. Your land held for resale, it shows that there's a reduction of 52,952, but in reality, there was no reduction. The town does not lump in the land that's held for tax forfeiture in this category, and the auditor simply reclassifies it to that category at the end of each year, and then it goes back. So at the end, so when I do the 2025 financial statements, I'll be moving that 52,952 back into land held for sale. And then on January 1st, it goes back out. And we just keep doing that circle until the land is finally sold. And then your investment, the 10,000 investment just stays there forever until the Smoky Lake Land Development Corporation is finally dissolved. If it gets dissolved. So, any questions on that? So far, when you look at the October 31st statement of financial position, total financial assets are down by 417,000. When you take a look at your total liabilities, they increased by 773,000. Meaning your net financial position or your liquidity decreased by 1.1 million. And at first glance, you'd think, that's a bad thing. But again, we haven't reconciled the government contributions and those government grants. And that's a big thing. So you can see that $2 million, if you look at the tangible capital asset line, you'll see your TCA increased by 2,100,000. Well, if that was funded internally, well, then yeah, you got a negative, you've reduced your net financial assets. But if that 2,100,000 was funded by government grants, that means your October 31st statement of revenue expenses is understated by that 2 million in government contributions that we haven't recorded yet. And we don't record until after we reconcile the grants.
Also in there is 1.2 for the water tank again, that the previous year doesn't have. Right? In your long-term debt on that liability side?
No, the liability side actually doesn't change the net financial assets. And the reason being is that 1 million will increase the cash, but it also increases long-term debt. So if you increase your assets and increase your liabilities, the net result is zero. So right now, when you take a look at the income statement as of October 31st, 2025, it's only showing an annual surplus of 94,000. But if that 2 million in TCA was funded by government grants, that all of a sudden bumps your surplus to 2,094,000 or 2.1 million, which means that your net financial assets didn't decrease by 1.1, it actually increased by 900,000. So it's good to get the interim financial statements, but it's very important to look at them cautiously because you have to always be asking yourself what information isn't being presented in there yet. Did you guys get a copy of the statement of expenses by object?
Yeah.
Okay. Taking a look at that actually makes a little bit more sense than the actual income statement because you can extrapolate some of this information. So for instance, taking a look at your salary and wages. So far you have $1,033,000 in salary and wages. Well, salary and wages tend to be fairly consistent, except for in the summer when they tend to spike a bit because you have the temporary workers. But if we were to simply take that 1,033,000 divided by 10, multiplied by 12, meaning extrapolating it to the end of the year, then your projected salary, wages, and benefits would be 1.239, which is almost bang on to your budgeted amount of 1,276,000. And you can kind of do that same type of extrapolation on all the other expenses. The only areas I wouldn't do that extrapolation on would be your provision for allowances, because that's kind of a wild card, and also on your amortization. So your amortization last year was 429,000, but you purchased 200,000 of additional assets. Assuming those additional assets have been put into use, then you can anticipate your amortization actually increasing in 2025. So I did a little extrapolation and did an estimate. Based on my estimate, the town is gonna end up somewhere around the 4 million to 4.1 million in total expenses. Which is around 200,000 less than what the town had anticipated or what the town budgeted. But then again, the town doesn't budget for amortization. So you take that 200,000 shortfall, I add back the amortization, and you're actually left with a 257,000 surplus in your in your expenses component alone. And that's it.
Well, thank you very much, Israel, for your time and your expertise in presenting what you did for us. So thank you. I don't see any more questions unless anyone has any. We're grateful for your time and for to see you again and new council to meet you. And we look forward to seeing you probably again in March, April. Okay.
Definitely.
And thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you,
you.
Israel. Really
Okay,
appreciate
have a very nice day.
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Min, for that. That comes up later on in the agenda under 7.1. So we'll move on to our next delegation. Welcome, Glenda and Lee. You're welcome to join us or here, there.
Wherever you want to sit.
Zane, come on, take a seat up front.
Wherever you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having us. I submitted a letter and an Excel spreadsheet. I'm not sure if everybody has a copy of that. You do. So I'll just on December 11th, I'll drop it off. So everybody will have a copy.
I have what was prepared for us in the agenda package.
Yeah.
Is that the letter that you?
Was a letter and a spreadsheet.
No, I guess Dan and I did not. No, I did see that. And Tegan?
So anyhow, on December 11th, I dropped off a letter and a spreadsheet, so I'll just read it. Dear Council, due to the current slowdown in the real estate market in the town of Smoky Lake, I am respectfully requesting a 12-month extension to the development permit and construction deadline for our 5 existing lots, the attached list. We have successfully completed 2 homes in Coquitlam Creek subdivision, and I believe this demonstrates our commitment and capacity as qualified builders of executive style homes. These projects have contributed positively to the subdivision's growth and value. However, with the housing market softening in 2025, we were unable to proceed with additional builds as originally planned. We appreciate your time and consideration of this request. Wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful holiday season.
I think this. Yeah, I'm just curious, so you came into the office and dropped this off and it was received?
Yes, with Pam, and then Pam told me today to come and present this at 6:30. So in the spreadsheets, it has the due dates, the 12 months that we're asking for the extension, the deadline for construction, and the deadline which was advanced another 12 months. And the reason I'm at today's council meeting is because for the 5 lots, the development permit request date, due date is December 31st of this year.
Okay. So, thank you for that.
It was likely Carly and she would drop it with and.
So could we keep one copy or could we have that and then make a copy and
Sure,
return
yeah.
this to you? Do you have anything else you'd like to add at this time to the?
No, just that the deadline is December 31st, so that's why it was of urgent that we come to request that.
And thank you for your time. Thank you for coming and hearing our auditors present as well. So if any questions that Glenda or anyone would like to ask Glenda any questions, we'll be discussing it in the 7.2. Thank you. So just gonna follow.
I have a question. Are you guys doing pre-sale? So you're selling the
So currently, because we did a winter build this
Yes.
last time.
Yes.
And it really added to our cost with delays. So we do have 2 lots that are for sale now as pre-sale, and we were hoping we could sell them in advance to start in spring.
Okay.
If we don't, we'll start on 1.
Okay.
And the same thing, listed.
One on spec.
Nestor said one on.
Yeah,
spec.
one on spec, yeah.
Okay.
But we do have a developer from St. Albert that approached us. And we are gonna be listing another lot on spec with an RV garage. He sold one in Calmar. And he feels that Smoky Lake is a good market and. So it would be a double attached garage, and onto the side of it would be an RV, like for a motorhome or fifth wheel, but an enclosed garage.
You're talking about Cola Creeka?
Yes.
For the garage.
RV garage?
It would be just an oversized garage,
Home with an RV
home
garage.
with an attached garage, but an oversized.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
Just the garage, not an RV.
No. I thought I heard you're gonna put a garage and an RV in it for, okay.
A home with an attached oversized garage, it's gonna be like a tandem,
Yeah, as long as it doesn't stand out like sore thumb, blend it in well.
no.
I don't know, did you ever see anything that Glenn and Zane built? Doesn't stand up like a sword. I know what I mean.
So, just,
A lot of the adult living part,
Right,
they put. A lot of them go south or wherever,
Yeah.
and they put that in there.
no, we have a pretty much retirement community here for the most part.
and I guess on behalf of council, I'd like, if it's fair for me to ask, you're keeping kind of in the same price points. You're at the 400,000, would you say, with the next ones to come, or?
No, it's gonna be more because the price went up 55,000. So just our cost is gonna be 55,000, that RV garage is another 40,000. So it's gonna be in about the 525. So the 2 that we have listed, one is 472, which it backs onto the hospital. The other one for 482 backs onto the creek. And this one, thank you, will be about 525 listed because of that RV garage. And that's the reason we're doing it on, not on spec, but on pre-sale, because that's the highest point. Well, all of our homes have been the highest price point in Smoky Lake. So it's a real gamble.
Yeah, well, I think we'd like to, on behalf of admin and council, we'd like to thank you for your investment into the community, to the Cola Creek area. You know, the time and effort that you've put in to create that executive living, the houses, and the success that you've experienced, and looking forward to the success that's coming your way in the future, and working together in partnerships to make that area developed and have executive living. So is there any other questions for Glenn and Zane at this time, or? Thank you.
My 4 minutes are done.
Thank you.
Have a Merry Christmas, everybody.
Good luck.
Merry Christmas.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. So that takes us now to, we're at 6.1, the administrative reports. Unless at this time, CAO Fighton would like to have any rearrangement of the agenda so that her team is
Okay. Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. So looking at the administration reports. So just for, I'm going to start off a little bit of clarity. We have the one employee, and our CAO reports to us every meeting. Okay, so the dates on, I would assume, so she reported last meeting, and that was the that was the December 2nd meeting, and she reported from November 15th to December 2nd. So the other reports that include Public Works Administration, FCSS, and the development are inclusive of November 12th to December 16th. Is that correct?
Yeah, it would be from the last.
Yeah, so then when we're doing the motion, we'll disregard the recommendation, and the dates that you should use are November 12th to December 16th. Okay, so I want to open up the floor to any questions for our administrative reports. Okay, don't everybody talk at once, but my first one is for Pam. If you wouldn't mind, your first bullet is development, responded to development related inquiries via phone, telephone, and in person. And that's great, and thank you for that. On average, maybe how many do you get a month, and do you have a system that tracks it?
And the inquiries that
Yeah, just generally speaking.
no, I don't have a system of tracking, but multiple every week.
And thank you for that. So I do have an observation in the FCSS, and I don't see Rochelle with us tonight.
She's on holidays right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely, lovely, okay. So if we go to page 21, the ministry, the Child and Family Services, they're extending the FRN program. So I'm on page 21, and I'm at the grant updates, the second bullet. So Rochelle's reports are always excellent, and I'm concerned with the impact of funding. So if we go 3 additional months, are we being prorated by the grant, or the government's going to look at that and retro or unknown?
I don't have anything further to respond to that. Do you, Crystal? I know Rochelle is gonna be keeping us updated with how that unfolded, but at this time, I think it's quite unknown.
Okay.
It's a bit of, unease too, so.
Thank you. So what I noticed other municipalities are doing, they are actually, and I'll frame it in a motion, they're actually taking the letter from Child and Family Services and they're having it in correspondence so that council's aware, especially if it impacts the financial development of that department itself. And so I'll look at framing the motion after we're finished. And I have just one more for John, put you on the hot seat, John. And you can tell me that, no, you don't need to know this, but I was driving down the street on Thursday, December 4th and noticed across from us is Nick Pork was in town. Anything you want to share or?
Across the street here. He replaced, we got the CC valve replaced. It was no longer functioning properly. Just normal operations and repair.
Okay, well, nice to see them in town and not think the worst that something was.
What was this? What was this, a CC also?
That was also a CC. We had a water leak up here on the weekend.
Was it just pouring out of there, or like, how do you know that there's
It was a trickle coming out of the sidewalk.
Oh,
So were those ones, when they did the inspections, were those some of the CCs that they were sure that they were gonna, like, were at least ones that were projected to fail?
No, the ones that were flagged were looked at. And they did find some leaks from that. I don't know specifically. I'd have to go back and look at what those locations were, but
Is that one at provincial building done already?
that one's completed, yeah.
How long did it take?
About 5 hours.
5 hours? Okay.
So that's where Villa knows was a fairly recent install, or has that been there for 50 years?
That's old, very old, yeah.
What happens if
So it was due for failure then?
sometimes packings? What was the failure on the pack? Or was it
It was an old style flared fitting. And it just failed.
Probably the same as this one here. This must have been only one here also, eh?
That one was just non-operable. This one was actively leaking.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Keegan.
So I know, and this is not at all meant to be a, you're not doing what you said you were, but I know that we had moved that back alley, and the only reason I know because I live on that back alley to priority 1, meaning it would be the same level as like the sidewalks up here. Didn't we move that to that?
We did, but priority 3.
Priority 3.
Oh, it's priority 3. So this is priority 1, and then that's priority 3. Okay, because I noticed today that you guys were doing a great job of clearing the roads, But then that back alley is like quite backed up, and so I just wanted to know kind of what the plan is around that.
We can definitely follow up on that.
Okay.
Yeah, and some of the residential areas have signage up when their area will be cleared, so I think it's an excellent choice. Thank you.
And we try to give some heads up to residents
To not park
that's
there,
good.
right?
when possible.
I called my dad, Dad, there's a sign, move your truck. So he did.
Thanks. Go ahead.
Just one thing, like on the Tipsy Cow here, like there's no one there at all, I think now, and it's kind of shits because sidewalks are clean, then there's that, and then there's a red chimney that's all clean. Do we take care of that and put a lien against it, or how does that work?
The downtown area is tricky for us operationally because our sweeper units aren't able to fit down some of these due to the power poles and vehicles parked, trees.
Without having to.
I'm sorry,
Carry on.
We first start with what we can get with our sweeper and then we are able to go and manually do the areas that are required.
So,
So
um,
if I may first, so usually the process is one pass.
Yeah,
So even wherever in the downtown core, because we have people from the Barberina that are walking, and so
yeah,
different in residentials, the assumption is the homeowners can do it, so. That's what we've been doing in the past, and I think that's what our current policy reflects, and yeah. Go ahead from there.
deja vu. If the property owner is not cleaning the sidewalk, clean the sidewalk, bill it back to, by policy, to the property owner. Quit shaking your head, Hank.
We just passed a policy.
That's how it works.
Okay, let's focus.
Sidewalks have, I shovel my sidewalk, everybody else can shovel theirs.
So, just to say,
You're special.
Or hire somebody.
okay, we're gonna come back to the agenda. So the administration reports, we have a policy in place and that's what we're using. And if you'd like to make a motion otherwise, we can do that as well.
Sorry, did I just miss the answer to that? Because that's a really great point. If nobody is attending that building, you can't get the machines down that. Shouldn't it be shoveled? And you're saying that you get to it after you get the other sidewalks done?
I try to, if operationally we can. Usually it's very busy time for us.
We used to do
Yeah, no
it
doubt.
before. Public Works used to go out there, any of them, and we used to also sand the sidewalks downtown. Bucket of sand with a cup. You didn't need no fancy machine. It's just simple simplicity. You have to go back to get things done.
I agree with that. Okay,
Downtown business.
is there any motions coming from this discussion, or? Cause we just recently passed the snow policy, right? And
So, okay, how many delinquent businesses are there not doing their,
what do you mean by delinquent?
not doing their snow?
The abandoned properties, or
Yeah.
that's what you're talking about?
well, the downtown ones anyway.
Downtown, like, business core here.
So I'm gonna push pause on this discussion, and so we're talking about the administration reports.
Okay,
So if we want to go on that, I would look forward to having this discussion in January. Let's put
Okay.
it on the agenda. We're getting record snowfalls tomorrow. I trust our crew is going to be in place, and that Councillor or Deputy Mayor Kulak is not gonna be out there with a shovel, and we're not gonna call you, but
I got enough to shovel in my own.
wonderful, okay? So at this time, if there's no more questions, and thank you, everyone. I'd like to, Councillor Churn would probably look at making a motion that the town of Smoky Lake, except for information, the verbal and written administrative reports, which include the CAO, development, FCSS, Public Works, from November 12th to December 16th as presented. Any more discussion on the motion? No, seeing none, hearing none, all in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. And Crystal, if you're ready, I'm going to make a motion to direct administration to provide council an update on the FRN program and notice of grant term extension to June 30th, 2026 from Alberta Child and Family Services to be presented at the January 13th regular council meeting in the correspondence version. Any more discussion on that? And that's in regards to page 21. Michelle, report grant updates, the first bullet. Go ahead.
Just to see clarity, then you just want the ministry announcement about that included? Okay.
The minister came out with the there's other municipalities that have it in their agenda because it's a department of the town and council should, because it's financially impacting, council should see that letter, the notice of intent. Or sorry, what is it called? The notice it's called the notice of grant term extension. Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
The motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. We're moving on to section 7.1, the delegation from Israel Wasserman. So thank you for arranging that for us, administration, and any more discussion?
How he says a different term, except, or you can use guesstimate on where you're gonna be at year end. No, it's just, yeah, we don't. This is maybe the best that we can get at. For now.
Have we had him for multiple years?
1 year.
Oh, just 1 year.
This will be his second year. And it
Okay,
was the thought process of the previous council just to get a new auditor every so often and
Yep. good idea.
throw it into just like stress.
And just for a new council, the way the numbers are done by putting this in and taking that out and putting it into the other parts, it just makes it, it's not as simple as just plus and minus.
Yeah.
No, but it's what's taken in and what's paid out. At the end of the day, that's the numbers that matter.
Yes, yeah, but in this form of presentation, it sort of makes it a little cloudy.
Yeah.
I want to thank Crystal too. She took the initiative to line up some meetings with Israel behind the scenes and he worked pretty diligently, literally overnight, I think, for us on this one. So, we'll continue to work on it.
Thanks, Crystal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
At no charge.
No charge.
No charge?
Yeah.
Oh, we like that.
That's what made me even more happy.
Yeah.
And I gave him a really strict timeline and he pulled through. So it's good news.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
So now just referring back to page 25, Deputy Mayor Kodlak would like to move that the town of Smoky Lake accept for information the presentation given by Israel Wasserman, CPA and CMA with J.D. Wasserman regarding the update on the draft financial position and the draft balance sheet report as of October 31st, 2025.
Thank you.
Great motion.
Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion?
Except,
All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. So now we're going to move on to page 26, 7.2, the delegation from Glenda McGinnis and Saines. So I'm not sure if there's going to be any discussion, and previous council, it's this.
have you gave extensions for other developers?
So where I'm going with this is, I'm not sure if this is an open session or a closed session decision.
I would recommend, just simply because of this same topic being discussed with last council in closed session, that we probably be best to enter into closed.
So why don't we speed through this and table it or does that
Sure.
impact anyone staying later?
So we gotta talk about properties in closed anyways, so I think that would
So we're
be,
gonna table it to before 14.1. It'll be the first item. 7.2 will go before 14.1 in closed session, if that's okay with everyone.
That's
So
great.
I'm not gonna have a motion to table something, I'm just going to let administration know that that's what we're doing. Okay, so now we're going to go on to 7.3. And this is the item for council consideration, the town website. And so thank you again for preparing the RFD. I myself prepared pages 28 and 29. And the ask in front of council today is pick two things, category 1, category A and category B. Just pick two things and let's move on. The rationale behind this is since we've been elected and since the organizational meeting, October 29th, we have done nothing, absolutely nothing to come to our community members and say, hey, we're a new council. This is who we are, this is what we stand for or anything. So I think it's important. And if you choose not to, my other option, are we okay, ladies? Yeah. Am I on the wrong page?
Oh, I'm just trying to figure out which section for the.
Oh, okay, sorry.
On my head.
You haven't been approached by numerous ratepayers
Well, so here's
asking you doesn't.
Here's the thing, if you're not willing to pick anything from category A and B, I'm going to probably ask for a supplement motion to just submit something on behalf of council, like a Christmas message or a season's greeting message on behalf of all of us
That sounds wonderful.
that would stay up until January 15th.
Yeah, I like that. Can we choose what we're gonna do though, so we can?
No.
I think category B.
Don't forget,
I'd like something from category A and B. And it could be as simple, so page 28.
Oh, sorry, yes, I see what you're saying now, sorry.
Okay, so, and I sent an email regarding this last meeting. So what I was thinking to walk you through it again, not complicated, really easy. Someone from our admin, we could just have a group photograph, alphabetical, Bruce, Dan, myself, Nestor, Tegan. We could just have a sitting here, one photograph with an iPhone, and that's all we have. And it doesn't have to be today, it could be January 13th.
It could be today. Dan's hair is looking fantastic today.
Dan wants to go in hair and makeup first.
I don't know the way of putting it down.
So for now, temporarily, we could just have a Christmas message and then January 13th, defer this yet one more time and come up with the group photo and a group message.
And R18, that's Ukrainian, that's
No money in the budget.
Moronka. Even Moronka too.
Malonka, we're not gonna be at the meeting or what? Okay, so anyone dare to make this motion? Okay.
You say I'll make the motion. You got it, Mary.
So, ready for the motion, I moved, or sorry, Councilor Rosachuk moves that the mayor submit a season's greeting message for the Town of Smoky Lake website and the Facebook page on behalf of council to be reviewed by December 23rd for posting until January 15th, 2026, and pre-approved by via email, and defer the information in 7.3 category A and B to the January 13th meeting. How does that sound? All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. So we're moving on now to 7.4. And we were looking at the municipal onboarding expenses. And so before Crystal will walk us through any of this, or if there's any questions, I wanted to follow up with, it seems high, okay, it seems kind of high, the motion on page 31 for 2021, that was 30,000, but that's okay. I'm not going to ask you the motion number. And my thought process for previous council was the election was going to be dedicated $6,000 and then the onboarding was 20,000. So combined it was 26,000. Am I on track? Okay, and we have all our expenses to date or not yet?
I believe that's it.
And so we have the drop-in center.
Yeah.
And it's on here.
Under the election hall rental, yeah.
Okay. And then, Mr. Boyko.
Yeah.
It's on here.
Yeah, so it's on the, yeah.
Okay, so we are under budget, $5,279, which means that's good. I don't think we have to spend it all, and I think we should call it a day. There's no more training, and we move on under budget. How does that sound to everybody?
Yeah. I'll make that motion.
The only question that I had is, the headshots. We're not doing those.
The
Headshots.
the photos.
Oh,
So it says $125 per person, but we're not doing those anymore, right? So was that the proposed?
That was in the proposed budget.
Okay.
And
Other communities have them, that's just, but they don't spend $125. Like you said, somebody pulls out an iPhone, takes a picture and
Yeah.
uploads it and it's all done.
okay, we're okay with that. Yeah, and previous council was an initiative by Chamber. It was no cost. It was complimentary. They did the bios and everything. So yeah, I think we're good with this. So the motion might be a little different than the recommendation. I'm not sure. I'm gonna turn to administration. So with this spending that we're going to limit it at, and amend the budget, we'll just limit it to the 21,000, not to spend any more money, or do we have to do anything? Okay. Okay, and so there was the conditional IT training that could come up, but we're not gonna pay for that.
And that was at no cost if we were to do that through the county, so yeah, I think we're okay.
So we're all under the clear understanding that,
As long as everyone's happy.
okay, everyone, I think everyone so far is happy.
Yeah.
Oh, personally or professionally?
We'll stick to professionally.
Let's leave it there.
Yep.
Okay. So, I'm going to go to Councillor Churns to move that the town of Smoky Lake accept for information the verbal and written council onboarding budget to actuals and election costs dated December 16th, 2025 as presented. Any more discussion? All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, admin. Okay, so far everyone's happy. We're gonna move on to the 7.5, the interim operational budget and the 3-year financial plan. So. Does anyone want to walk us through this, or would you like to have the questions right off the bat, or?
I think, if council has questions, we'll obviously focus more time on that, but Crystal did update this report to just give a really high level overview of the amendments from the December 4th presentation.
Go ahead, Dan.
So the grader and the pickup was taken off the books?
Yes. Well, we're speaking about operational right now, but yes,
I know.
and yes, to answer that, yes.
There's room
Where do
for.
I find it?
So then,
You know.
oh, page 33. We're on page
No.
30. Oh,
I think you just want to access it in general.
The site, what day was it thrown at us?
so.
It was from Molly.
Second the portal.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask about is, we talked, but without a motion. So I'm on page 34 right now, and I'm wondering if there would be a number 6, and would we consider, with the minimum vacant tax rate to decrease that?
Just that, yeah.
You're talking about vacant lots, like
Yeah.
bare lots.
Yeah. So on page 34, there's 1 to 5. Those were the recommendations we spoke about on the December 4th meeting. But it was not captured.
Yeah, and I was under the impression too that this would be a discussion under the tax rate bylaw. And that's likely something that council wants to review in the new year.
So quick.
And I guess just to back up to the motions, it kind of just outlines what we're seeking to do here today. tonight, with this being the last regular council meeting before the New Year's, that we would look for council's approval to approve an interim operating budget, so that would be the 50%. And there are gonna be things that we need to come back with and, you know, efficiencies to continue to look at and those kinds of things. And so we can certainly factor that in the new year if that's something council wants to do.
So you wanna entertain that?
Well, we could do that at this time. What I got from the last meeting is that council wanted to look at that a little bit more in detail and look at it underneath the tax rate bylaw. If you wanna do that, you can make that decision tonight too.
So, okay, so that's, okay, so here's what we're in sequence. I'm gonna make a motion. Probably, again, not the recommended motion, but I'm gonna try this one on for size, and then we can get a subsequent motion for the tax rate. For the vacant tax. So I have the motion and, the town of Smoky Lake adopt the 2025 interim operating budget, the town of Smoky Lake adopt the 2026 interim operating budget at 50% of the 2025 approved budget amount as per the MGA section 242, subsection 2, adoption of operating budget and administration prepare the 2026 operating budget to be presented and reviewed, or to be presented, reviewed and adopted at the next budget meeting of 2026. So I've changed the recommendation to not go into the interim budget for 2026, those amounts, but to use what we had in 2025 that was the actuals. Any more discussion? Calling the question, all in favor? The motion is carried.
Complaint.
Thank you. And so we'll make a motion about the tax, the vacant tax. Two things that come to, as a part of this overall discussion. In our background under operating budget, so I'm on page 33 at the bottom. The full budget is going to be brought back to us in March or April. Would council look at maybe having these discussions sooner in February, lining up with the government of Alberta? Previous council had their first budget meeting in February. Yes, it's part on administration because of the audit, but I'm not sure.
I think we should get a handle on it and have it in the beginning of February.
There's other things that make up this decision too. It's not just the budget, but it's the public participation component and the minimum tax rate, things like that. In order to move forward, it's looking at forecasting 2027, but looking at 2026 and putting that as well. Do you want to set a date for February? We have no regular council meetings in February. I'm hoping in February we go to one meeting a month and that we could take on the extra budget meeting. How does everyone feel about that?
So it would be separate from the one meeting, it would be the one meeting, regular council, and this would be a budget separate meeting.
Yeah. And so looking at right now, the way we're doing business is we're having 2 meetings a month every 2 weeks. It's extra agendas, it's extra time, it's going later than predicted, but we're new, so we're kind of getting everything in sync. And so I'm hoping that admin would say, or that we would say to admin, we're just gonna go to 1 meeting a month and do a budget meeting in February. Or is anyone away in the month of February? Is anyone on holidays? Okay, no.
Back.
Would you like to leave it till January 13th and call the budget meeting, or would you like to set a date now?
Set a date now.
Admin, is that okay with you? Okay. Let's have some dates and times, please. And even if we, talking about numbers, I don't like to leave it this late. So let's be fresh as a daisy and do it at maybe, okay. 4 o'clock, you want to start at 4 o'clock at least? 3 o'clock for the budget? Okay, 3 o'clock on the 10th, February 10th, is that the long weekend? Family Day?
No, that's the following week, the 17th would be the.
Hey, is that Valentine's Day or anything?
That's on a Saturday, I think you're fine.
Yeah.
Number 10.
You're, you know that way. I'll be turning on my kid, that's fine.
Okay, Councillor Kudlak has the motion to call a regular council meeting for the purposes of the 2026 operating budget on February 10th at 4 p.m.
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor? The motion is carried. And then Councillor Scarf has a motion to include the minimum vacant tax rate decrease from $800 to $600 for the 2026 operational budget meeting. And bring back the minimum tax rate bylaw to be reviewed by council at the January 13th meeting.
I thought you were thinking $400.
No.
No, six.
Is that 800?
Oh.
600. How does that sound? Admin, are you okay with that, or is that too much for January 13th?
Crystal's gonna shed some insight.
Okay, so the motion was to decrease the minimum tax rate from 800 to 600 and bring back the tax rate by.
The minimum tax rate bylaw, so it can be in correspondence, because we don't do that tax rate bylaw till May. Everything goes through with.
Once the operating budget is passed, then we can do our tax rate bylaw, which has that minimum in
So
there.
friendly amendment.
Yeah.
To stop at, bring back to the first budget meeting,
Okay, yeah,
February 10th.
that makes sense.
Would that be okay with everyone?
Yeah.
So we won't see that again, and we pass our mill rate bylaw and everything in May, right before the taxes come out, so once we have our assessment solid, and so that will all come into play. Okay. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much, Admin, for everything. So looking at what's next, it's kind of a big one, so I think I'm getting eye contact. That we'd like to have a quick recess before we go on to the capital budget. And 7:40, okay? I'm calling recess at 7:40 for the one, Crystal. Call the meeting back to order at 7:51. Thank you, everyone. We're moving on to 7.3, the interim, 7.6, the interim 2026 capital budget and draft 10-year capital plan. Okay, so in the recommendation, it says that we're going to have the capital budget presented. And I don't see the capital budget. Are we getting a handout or?
Sorry, just wait a second here.
It's attached to the,
So,
it's attached to the RFD. So there's the project list. That was updated to reflect council's direction. Some items were removed.
so there's the table, and then there's also the highlighted spreadsheet that's showing up for me in the
So
packet.
where's the table?
Starts on page 69.
Yeah, and then that
Okay.
the table with the items, is that what you wanna, or the spreadsheet? The spreadsheet starts on page 81. But the table,
So I'm looking for the actual budget and thank you for preparing it. In the you mentioned the MGA, there's the three components in section 242. A to B, we get the amount. And then where is the amount funded? And then are we having any operating
yeah, so if you wanna look at funding, that's included on page 80. So there's a updated table there. Prior to that, there's the updated table with the individual capital items, and then there's also the updated 10-year plan further down as well.
So what is our total? And what are we going to? When I expect to see a capital budget, I expect to see the funding sources for each item. And previous, we have so I didn't expect to do math here, so
So page 72 of 165 gives the total capital amounts based on the items. If council wants to approve those items.
okay,
At the
so
bottom?
on page 72.
Mhm.
On page 72, the table A to I or A to J, the total is.
At the bottom.
414, we're looking at this.
72.
Well, 4 of 14, you would see it as 4 of 14.
So,
Total is 466,500, not including item J, which council
Okay.
expressed interest in having more of an in-depth or even an in-person analysis of that project specifically. Including that last project, the total amount is 636,500.
okay, so say for example, we're on page 72 of 165 and item A, 50,000 water main valve upgrading. Where is that money coming from? Where's the source? So in a capital budget, we're gonna identify the source, right?
Broke it down, we just broke it down in general, right? Yeah.
And then,
So it's broken down just in terms of overall funding, just in that table there, that where it says total 2026 grant funding on page 80.
Can we just get there just 1 second? Total
Yeah.
2026 grant, oh, the green and blue page,
So you didn't break it down into
per project or per item.
or smaller. You just lumped.
Yeah, I know we.
So this,
Well, I just speak to this one, so I'm not sure what you guys have done.
so I have a sample of what we did in the past, and it doesn't look like anything what we're doing here. So if you're thinking that, we also have a total on page 82 to take all the projects from the table. The total on page 82 for 2026 is $360,000. But I don't see it anyplace on page 72. So I'm not looking at a capital budget. That's why I asked, is there a handout or even in the motion, there's not an amount that we're approving. So we want to follow the MGA. We want to have a capital budget in place by January 1st.
Yeah.
We have nothing in front of council at this time.
So what we did was we listed the items because we just need that final consensus. Are these the items that we are recommending at this time? And that's why we just included the amount. So the amount we can include with in the motion as well, but we've just decided to lump them together as item numbers.
So what amount is the total?
This is up for this.
Yeah. Itemized breakdown on what you're spending on that.
So
Like you mean under page 72, the amount is broken down by capital item. You're just wanting to know the funding source by item.
Yeah.
Which Crystal's provided, correct me if I'm wrong, can I see first of all what that looks like too, just for my awareness?
Okay, so this is, thank you for what admin has provided. So in the MGA, you have to be in compliance with A, B, and C. And so, this is a motion from 2021. And everything's the source funding, each item, you can pass that down. And so when we are approving a capital budget, we don't have a capital budget in front of us. So we don't have a total amount. And unless we're having another meeting before January 1st, we're going to be in the breach of the MGA. This is the MGA. We can take over.
Yeah, because we've done it lumped together for the funding sources, so.
But we don't, so even if it's lumped together, and thank you for that, and I'm not trying to be combative, but you've lumped it together, but we're not using the whole LGFF grant for one item. How are we breaking that down? And that's, I think, a requirement of the MGA.
I was looking at the MGA.
This isn't the first time this has been done in our history, has it?
No,
No. Last year's was the total amount, so the recommendation doesn't match what we're supposed to be doing.
So looking in the MGA, yeah, it says the amount needed to acquire, construct, move, or improve capital property, the anticipated sources and amounts of money to pay the costs under those.
So, I don't know how much, time that the problem right now is, so we have, that's why I'm asking, is there something else you're having out? So,
I don't know how to have anything else further to hand out.
so this is, we don't have a capital budget in that. We can do the math, but we still don't know the source funding. And even if we're not identifying anything being transferred from operating, we still need to acknowledge that to be in compliance with the MGA by January 1st. So we can give admin a chance to prepare it. We can have another meeting before January 1st.
Oh, we're getting close to Christmas now.
Yeah, so it's
The one that you, the example that you.
does anyone, John, has it? Because that's kind of what I was expecting, that's why I'm thinking.
Yeah, and when I seen the table that was prepared for the funding sources, I've seen it multiple ways. I haven't actually seen it myself personally broke down like how you had it for last year, so I was unaware of that and I apologize.
No, I'm not looking for an apology, I'm just saying, and sorry to interrupt. I'm just like, we're missing some of the information, unless you want me to do the math and take page 82 and add it to, but it still doesn't give us the funding sources.
I don't know why we just didn't look back in history and kind of, it's all been there, like, we're not reinventing the wheel. Are we?
No.
Well, no, this is what came from
2021.
the motion.
And so even the motion, and again, this isn't meant to be combative, but we're not in compliance right now, the way it stands, we're not in compliance with the MGA. It's a problem. We have to do it this way. The motion is to approve a budget, not to, so not to,
Yeah.
They can choose.
Yeah, and
you want to
I
take
guess
this?
for consensus, if we can have council approve the items that are listed, and we can tailor that motion so that, like, the MGA doesn't speak to anything about like itemizing funding sources or anything specific like that. If we're funding it from our LGFF grant, for instance, we know what these amounts are gonna be. That has been included on page 80. So if council can at least just find consensus on the capital items, we can do the math to ensure that we are in compliance to be, funded through LGFF, for instance, because we have the funding amount that's available. I think the information is here. It's just probably not laid out how council wanted to see that. And I agree, the way that you've just shown me there is easier to look at for sure. But we do have the funds listed for 2026. So if that's what we're seeking for consensus right now, is the actual items. And it can be in turn.
So council,
So it can be intern at this point, even though you need it by the first of.
Yeah, it doesn't, with capital budget is, you just have to have it for the calendar year, and what they've actually recently added is by January 1st, that never used to be the case. So it's for the calendar year, and
50% minimum.
you don't,
As it always come back, it's not great, but
you
it's.
can't do 50% on the capital.
and we can't just expend anything underneath the capital budget unless it's approved, so that's why an itemized, if council can provide direction on the itemized capital projects, then we are authorized to act on those as approved.
Okay, we'll go around the room. What's your thoughts, council? We can table it till the end of the meeting and make a decision then. We can,
Sure.
call a special meeting by Zoom next week, have this given in some time to prepare it, similar to what was previously done. Or we can't do anything.
You got deadlines, you're gonna meet them.
Hell, it's gotta be
And
done.
we don't do 50% on cap.
That's right.
But I mean, I just, none of this is new. I mean, not putting all the heat on you, but I think you got people around you that should be able to help you with this. We're all new, and I think somebody threw you under the bus, honest to God. And, yeah, I'm just speaking
Okay.
truthfully. We'll do it by Zoom, but man, you gotta lean on somebody.
And it's, and thank you for that. I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus. It's just, I was expecting there would be more information today.
Yeah,
So,
well, yeah, I mean, but it all contributes to that.
yeah, so when I was doing my agenda review, I was a little perplexed as, really confused as like what's, we're supposed to make a motion about the capital budget, and there's no capital budget. So I've said my piece. Nestor, do you want to weigh in?
So when can we have a Zoom meeting by? What's,
Admin? A special meeting. How does Monday or Tuesday look? Friday, Monday, Tuesday?
it's gonna have to be right in there.
When are you guys? Christmas of 24th. The Christmas break starts for town office 24th.
Yeah,
Well, Monday would be the 22nd.
Yep.
Yeah,
It would have to be Zoom, yeah, because I'm away
Tuesday night, the latest.
Where are you, are you away physically or?
physically, yeah, but
Yeah.
I'll have Zoom.
Yeah.
I can have Zoom.
House that they want.
What do you got going on? Sorry.
Oh, I'm just away for Christmas. We leave on the 21st, we
Oh,
go down
yeah.
to Airdrie.
No, this is,
So I can definitely join on Zoom. I just, as long as it's Zoom, I can't join
Yeah.
in live.
oh, I think it'll be done before, has to be done before that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Good Friday.
Well, or sorry, what day are you leaving?
I'm leaving on the 21st, which is Sunday. So
Oh, Sunday.
we were talking
Oh,
about
yeah,
the
you can Zoom
22nd or
it
the
Monday,
23rd.
Tuesday or
Yeah.
Monday or Tuesday.
Does Friday out of the question, the 17th, sorry, the 19th? Friday evening, Friday,
I mean, it was just you guys have all the information. We just need to see it like this.
Thursday, is Thursday out of the question? Today's Tuesday, can we have a meeting Thursday at 4? Zoom in,
Thursday? Cause Friday's tied up already for this week.
who's tying up?
Well, you got foundation
Ah,
and then we got Evergreen.
Evergreen,
Okay,
yeah.
Monday then,
Yeah, I think that'd be safe with us. Just
Okay,
all agreed, so we're gonna defer or we're gonna call it special meeting for the purposes of capital budget on Monday, December 22nd at 4 PM via Zoom or in person,
4:00?
4 PM, yeah.
Sorry, there's no way we could do it this week. That's just the worst.
Okay.
I'm with my kids, it's Christmas, we're gonna be out and about, now I have to go in my car, go on Zoom for who knows how long.
It's probably gonna be.
Really quick?
I don't wanna jinx it because it's me, but it's gonna be really quick. They're gonna get a table prepared, you're gonna see the funding, we're gonna know if anything's coming from
Okay.
reserve to balance this.
Okay.
And we're gonna know the amount, we're looking at probably 900,000 or less.
Could we do it earlier in the day? Is that possible if we're all on Zoom?
yeah.
Just so that I can get it over and done with and. The little bunny. Clean up.
What about like
Okay.
1 o'clock, like right after lunch?
How's that for you, Nestor?
Yeah, I think it, well, we'll.
Okay, 1:00 we'll do it.
Thank you.
virtually, or do you want it in person too?
Leave it open for council and to attend, admin and council can attend in person or virtually on Monday. For the purposes of approving the capital budget.
1 PM.
1 PM, all in favor? That motion is carried. And who has that motion, please? Sorry.
Okay.
Counselor or Deputy Mayor Kodlak has that motion. And I think everything's good with admin to move forward. And whatever projects that were identified. And if we're using any operating dollars as well, to be in compliance with the MGA. Thank you, everyone. We're moving on to 8.1, the Housing Accelerator Fund. And we're on page 83. Pam has prepared some information for us.
What section you on now?
Page 83, 8.1, Housing Accelerator Fund.
So the HAF grant, we are almost entering our second year, so it's timely to do an update because we need to figure out what projects we're gonna do and how we're gonna spend the rest of our money. So this is a federal program through CMHC to address the housing shortage. We were one of the lucky municipalities to get this grant. We are getting a yearly amount of $121,500.48. So we were approved for 4 years, but there is, we don't get it as a lump sum payment, we get it every year, and we have to make sure we're meeting our dwelling unit targets, and there's a yearly reporting, so that's really important to remember. So part of this agreement has an action plan, so there was 5 items that the previous council approved as part of that, so they're listed out here. So it was to do accessory dwelling units, the sale of town-owned land, affordable housing focus, affordable housing incentive program, implement e-permitting for building and development applications, small home and tiny dwelling neighborhood guidelines and information. So this is a little bit unique because I came on board, it was started by previous development officer, and I did not have a lot of information on what the long-term plan was gonna look like here. So we're kind of halfway through, but we don't have a long-term plan for how the money is going to be used. So those 5 things I just listed, we already met those targets in the first year. That's what we've been working on, but now we have to figure out how we're gonna get 21 permitted housing units in the next 4 years, in 4-year term, but that also has to include 23.8% affordable units, 4 missing middle housing units, and 6 other multi-units. So we've kind of been chatting about how we're gonna do that and how we're gonna continue to meet these targets. So we met with a consultant to get some ideas on how we can set up a clear plan for the long-term use of the funds. So this is basically an introduction of what we're doing with HAF and where we're gonna go.
Tegan, go ahead.
So are any of these housing developments that we've been talking about, the on 50th Street, those 6 plus the 8 down there? I mean, that's 14 already. Are those 14 plus? I mean, I know we're doing one. I don't know what other applicants have coming. So that's 15. Would that be considered 15 out of the 21 units?
Yes.
So we're in theory up to 15.
Well,
Yeah, we've had, like, last year we counted 7. This year, they only count them when it's at the building permit stage though, for CMHC. So that's part of what they look at. So those ones are coming, but because like yours counted, but these other ones don't have the building permits yet, but they will go towards the final count, yeah. So last year was 7, including ours. And then
yours isn't this year yet. We had 7, and then this year we have 6 or 7 building permits already. Again, so
okay,
like, yeah, we're on track overall for housing numbers, but maybe not necessarily for the, so the missing middle housing, that's like we need multi-unit basically, and we need like the affordable housing focus now for the next 2 years. So
Those proposed 2 fourplexes in Cola Creek, do they contribute to that?
yes, once they apply for a building permit.
Okay.
They would, and they did, like, they're saying that 2 out of the 4 in each would be like affordable.
Okay,
what qualifies for
They-
affordable housing? Sorry, Nestor, go ahead.
sure.
No, go ahead.
Okay, they meaning who?
Investors,
The developer.
developers.
Okay,
Developer, yeah.
developer.
The developer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have an affordable housing policy. Actually, we're probably gonna have to talk about that in January because it needs to be revised because the monitoring of it. So affordable housing is 30% of the median income based off like the Stats Canada. Can you just say that again?
30%.
30% of the median Smoky Lake Stats Can income. So to be perfectly honest, a lot of the stuff was done backwards. The previous development officer made an affordable housing policy, did the policy work, but there was no long-term plan. I had no idea when I came in where we were at, what was happening, what the money was gonna be used for, how we were gonna achieve these goals. I'm not sure if the grant writers decided on these initiatives or the development officer. So yeah, we're like halfway through, but never had a long-term plan. So you'll see like in the breakdown, we haven't used all the funds from the first year and we haven't dedicated all the funds from this reporting period either. So we do have funds that we need to use specifically to reach our goals now. So part of that though was those lots on 50th Street, we are funding them through the HAF and we gave them to a developer to do the multi-unit with the promise of the two affordable.
Mhm.
So what I think I'm hearing is a lot of work's been done. Thank you for that, and to the rest of admin for getting the grant and pursuing it. Not a lot of information on our website tailored towards maybe the program itself, maybe another upcoming meeting dedicated to strategically planning this the remainder of the grant, seeing where we're at and developing some priorities around the action plan that's already in place with components 1 to 5 on page 83. For example, the e-permitting on number 4 on page 83, when did that start and how many have we done already?
It launched in like February of 2025 this year. And we've had 3 permits online for that. And we did do like shared it on our socials and stuff like that.
And one thing that was quite important to us at the time with previous council that we were one of a few that got this grant out of Banff, Sylvan Lake, Westlock, Village of Dutchess. So there's work to be done, and I think the work that's already been achieved is good to move us forward. And unique in that we've got $100,000 plus a year to dedicate this. I want to draw your attention to page 91 of 165 in the page 90 of 165, and that's Maria Close. And so when I hold up this picture to Pam, we don't have, and this is not the first time I've said that. Okay, so there's on the property line, there's no real street. And there's no lighting. Is that something that we could look at through the grant to make a street in that trailer park area? And then the orange is the utility right of ways, or at once were they to be back alleys or some sort?
The utility right of ways, they're so old because that's an old subdivision. I don't know. We've looked at them before.
So where I'm going with this conversation, and again, it's just the preliminary discussion. I think it warrants more if there's an appetite of council. So part of what we can do with the grant is on page 85. The first bullet is to leverage land assets strategically to unlock new opportunities. So adjacent to this subdivision, there's a parcel of land. It's 2.6 acres. It was originally back in the olden days of recycled councillors. It's 2.6 acres that was a subdivision. It was supposed to be a subdivision of 9 lots. I don't know if you remember that or not, but I'm wondering who might own it now. So adjacent to.
Is that with the CCAN on it right now?
No, that's the other way. I wonder if there's an appetite to acquire land with the grant, or if that's, I don't want to cross any lines. I don't want to talk about land acquisitions unless we have to be in closed session, but there's 2.5 acres either way.
Yeah, so to use that money, what is the full scope of the?
We don't have the full scope. Can we use that money for?
We can use it for anything?
Property.
Well,
no.
As
We have to use it for either the initiatives that are listed out, or there is permitted uses like in
any initiative, construction of affordable housing, repair, modernization of, like, it's all has to be.
So it's very
related.
vague.
Yeah.
Yes, which is kind of nice. It's great for us.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Yeah, and so, you know, this is an idea I had in terms of, I guess, utilizing funds to further leverage funds. And so when I originally got on, I heard Pam say that a few times, is that we have a lot of money available, but we don't have plans on how we can properly efficiently use the funds, and you can do it in a way where you continuously can leverage the grant funding even within the grant funds. And so this would be a way to earmark some of those main objectives that we want to achieve. We know for sure, for instance, that we have a very outdated land use bylaw and municipal development plan. And that's something that generally requires a lot of consulting dollars and external to the organization to complete. So because the objectives are quite defined through the grant process, but overall the program funding seems quite vague, as Councillor Kodalak mentioned, I thought there was a way that we could get creative to have a plan that earmarks some of these things, and ultimately admin is driving what that can look like behind the scenes. And so that's one project that I was thinking, and we've cleared this with the program administrator, but those are some big projects that we can get creative and have them fully grant funded.
Well, and it
Just one
directly
example.
relates to development, like
Yeah.
our land use bylaw is very not development friendly, it's very unclear, which isn't good for developers. For instance, every kind of secondary suite is a discretionary use. It doesn't need to be discretionary use. If it's meeting all the requirements of the land use bylaw, that's just extra paperwork. Plus, when it got amended to include accessory dwelling units, now there's duplicate versions of different suites basically. So it's just, not clear, which is not helpful when you come to develop.
Okay, and thank you for that. I appreciate what has been said around this. So on page 84, I'm going to draw council's attention to, sad to hear, but towards the bottom of the page, although the approved action plan did include the above initiatives and milestones to be reached, there was no clear plan. So they're probably talking about previous council, but
No.
what's important, I'm kidding, I'm just getting some digs back in. So what is important right now is March of 2026, that's the next installment. I'd like to propose to council that we should have a strategic planning meeting about the priorities, just about the HAF grant prior to that installment of the date, to make sure that we're meeting the requirements moving forward, sometimes in February.
Well, sir,
No?
the intent is that we want to move forward with doing an RFP to hire a consultant to help us leverage how we're gonna spend the next 2 years, but how we're gonna meet our targets, how we can better monitor affordable housing, amp up the policy. It's really hard to implement something like affordable housing with a policy that has no backbone, and that's how ours is right now. And I've done extensive research, but
And
It's really
you're
hard
right,
to
I
call.
thought you'd want council to wait.
no, well,
before
it's gonna come
But-
back to council when we
Because,
can
yeah,
get
that's the thing
someone
too.
more.
We had a presentation from our CAO with the Barbie Nook. He's an expert in affordable housing. I think there's some resources here. I'd like to, no disrespect, I'd like to hear what council has to say on this initiative first before we put a motion in place to hire a consultant. Maybe we have some ideas that can be advanced that way, and
Why are we hiring a consultant?
because it's motion number 2 that.
What is he gonna tell us that we really know what we need?
Well, until 20 minutes ago, we didn't even know anything about the grant. So thank you to Pam's presentation. It's recommendation number 2, but I'm thinking that we could advance it first, or is that a rhetorical question?
I like what you're saying, because I think sometimes it just seems like it's like, let's get this person's, information or input before we have really taken a deep dive into it. So I would like to personally meet first as a council and determine what are some things we want to see, so that if we do move forward with getting a some kind of consultant to come in, that we have a clear understanding of what we want to see from that consultant, instead of just paying somebody just to come and tell us what we might have already thought of.
We're all local, we got a feel of the community
Yeah.
to some extent.
Not engaged consultants, but they're gonna just.
sounds like we're universal and we're gonna frame a motion and thank you, Pam, for that. So how does, I don't know, January, how does January sound? Kidding, how about February?
Everybody's booking up on a short.
Yeah.
And can we somehow just find out in that meeting if we can use it for a road, because I've been thinking a lot about that, about the subdivision there in Maria's Close. And I just think like that road is so needed. If we've sold all these units, which we have, but there's no access road for these people to build a unit, then we're gonna be doing work backwards, in my opinion.
And you're right, Keegan, to add to that discussion, why wouldn't we do it with maybe the neighbor buy his land or something to create a loop rather than just if it's doable, or if the town's putting some money into it. We just heard from Israel that we have all the reserves, the surplus, so I think there's a conversation to have, and let's look at a date. When can everyone?
But coming to that meeting, can we have that information? Can we have that information from you, if we can use it for a road? Who owns that lot? Are they willing to sell it? Like, can we do some backup, so we're not meeting again just to talk about what we're talking about now?
Okay, so February 10th is the budget meeting. If we came in a little bit earlier and had it strictly or put it as part of the budget meeting.
What, no,
Come in a little earlier.
What's to say that program, you say it's very loosely run right now? What's to say it's gonna improve between now and February?
No, I didn't speak to that.
The guidelines.
Yeah, and just in terms of what objectives we need to meet to get the grant funding. What I would recommend though is if we want to do that, and it was our total intent to have collaboration with council on this, but I would actually probably recommend that we have the HAF program administrator available to answer specific. There'll be some questions that neither Pam nor myself can answer. Specifics, if we have specific questions on what a grant can be used for.
So would they be available by phone?
Well, I just thought virtually there was specific questions. They're the ones that approve the money in the end, so.
Right.
It's just to have them available, like they could come in at the tail end of the conversation, it's just
Well, we can,
to help speed things up.
but what time we wanna meet?
Well, we said February 10th at 4 o'clock is the budget meeting.
Let's have this at like 2 o'clock, so you're in the business day of the.
Consultant, how does that sound? Yeah. Okay. But
Sand.
I already know, I know we can use the money to build a road, but we also have to be really careful of what we're using to spend the money on, because we have to meet the housing targets. So how is building the road going to result in
The
us?
road has to be
building
built
more.
for a property
No.
that you're gonna be expanding
Yeah,
yeah,
on
Already
housing
developed.
projects.
yeah, and services.
No,
local
I-
services.
I'm saying if we're not in reality, yeah, it's fine, we could use the money for that, but is there somewhere else we could better use it to meet the targets of the housing
Right.
numbers? And
I see what you're saying.
no, it could be for building a road, there is housing there.
and you know, what?
That's fine,
and
it's just-
you're right, thank you for that. Tegan taught me the second meeting, if you say no to something, or you say yes to something else, or if you say yes to something, you say no to something else. So I can see if we're spending X amount of dollars on one thing, what are we not getting?
Yeah,
in
it's not cheap
place
to build a
thereof?
road is all.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna dedicate the HAF funds, that's the only thing, but yeah, we can discuss it further.
So
Thank
2 o'clock on.
Yeah, we're gonna make a motion unless there's any more questions, and it might even be towards putting money towards a housing needs assessment, or the conversations can brainstorm from there. Thank you for the work that went in to prepare this for us. At this time, I don't even know where we are on the rotation, but we're gonna have 2 motions.
We did do a study on that.
Yeah, it's quite dated, but thank you. You had a motion or? I can go ahead and move that the town of Smoky Lake accept for information, the update, verbal and written, regarding the Housing Accelerator Fund given by our Development Officer Pam Luthier. And thank you for that. All in favor? The motion is carried. The next motion would be that the town of Smoky Lake hold a Housing Accelerator Fund
Special meeting?
Special, because maybe it was meeting.
a workshop. Let's just take a workshop.
Yeah,
On February 10th from 2 p.m. until 3:30.
Workshop.
at the town chamber. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion is carried. Thank you again. 2 o'clock till 3:30, so that you have a half an hour break before your budget meeting. Thank you again. That moves us on to 9.1, the master rates bylaw. Quite straightforward. We're going to go into the 3 readings. And
Did we miss 8.2? Sorry, did we change that order and I missed that?
yeah, I'm
Okay,
just
sorry.
get us home earlier, okay? Sorry. Sorry, 8.2, discussion of the strategic planning session. Oh, I'm gonna weigh in with my opinion first. I think if I was to read the room, I'm thinking that we're very budget focused. And I'd like to not book a consultant or get the 3 quotes until maybe let it come back January 27. I want to make sure that we're, if we do our budget information first, then we know what we can afford in terms of Dare to Dream for strategic planning. So I believe that strategic planning might come further in the timeline, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yes.
So, yeah.
He's driving.
Okay, so then, I think the motion might be to defer this to January 27th for discussion of the facilitator. I agree. Okay. How does that sound? Sure. Hey. I mean, as long as they're not all booked up by then, if every other municipality is doing strategic planning.
No, if we're not talking about it till then and locking them in. Most of them are booked up January and February, so if we're coming in after that, then there'll be a hiatus there.
So keep in mind when we defer it, that if you are aware of a company, we had a good one before, we might look at getting 3 quotes. You can bring that forward January 27th. So administration knows that this is deferred till the January 27th meeting, and we can have the RFD being brought back. All in favor? Thank you. The motion's carried. 9.1, master rates bylaw. Deputy Mayor Kodlak has the first motion to give the town of Smoky Lake give first reading to bylaw number 21, 2025, being master rates bylaw for the purpose of establishing general fees and charges for goods and services as delivered to the community. Any discussion? Any changes in the rates as identified in the background and what brought forward, so that we're billing accurately for the new things? We're okay, gentlemen? I'm on page 99. First reading.
Okay.
And if you prefer to read your own motion, just let me know. Okay, all in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Councillor Scarf.
That the town of Smoky Lake gives second reading to bylaw number 21-2025, being the master rates bylaw for the purpose of establishing general fees and charges for goods and services as delivered to the community.
All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Councillor Rosachuk. You want me to?
Yeah, you want to read it?
The town of Smoky Lake give permission for the third and final reading for bylaw number 21-2025, being the master rates bylaw for the purpose of establishing general fees and charges for goods and services as delivered to the community. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. Councillor Churn moves that the town of Smoky Lake give third and final reading to the bylaw number 21-2025, being the master rates bylaw for the purpose of establishing general fees and charges for goods and services as delivered to the community. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And thank you, admin, for preparing that for us. Moving on to 9.2, and that's the personnel policy, which my motion is going to be to defer this to the January 27th, 2026 for council review. I'm hoping that there will be a motion coming out of the CAO check-in that we're going to collect some data from a report that will enable us to review the policy. I think we can leave it the way it is for now and not do any changes unless someone feels differently or strongly otherwise. Speak now. No more discussion, all in favor, motion is carried. Thank you. 10.1, we did councillor reports previous, and I had asked if I could make a motion at this time. And we did council reports last meeting, and there was the 3 councillors went to the AUMA or AM conference in Calgary. We don't have a motion to make it a council approved event. And so I looked at our board meeting, there was some motions to have council approved events, but this one didn't fall under it. So when I did timesheets, I flagged it and I missed doing it last meeting. So the motion is that Town of Smoky Lake approve the 2025 AUMA, which is the old name, the Alberta Municipalities Conference and Trade Show, November 11th and 15th. In Calgary for the approve the registration and expenses for Councillor Rosachek, Councillor Scarf, Deputy Mayor Kodlak, and CAO Fighton, and approve the registration fees for the additional elected officials course for Councillor Scarf on budgeting and CAO Fighton. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to 11.1. I had pulled that one from the 12.1.d for correspondence to file, as I feel that I wanted to flag it for 2 reasons. Congratulations to Mrs. Polachek for being considered for this position on the advisory council. The goal, I think, would be to have a media release on our website. So if we receive it just for information, that halts the progress. It just stays in information. I noticed at the county, they have it on their website already. So I was surprised we didn't see it first, but we are the committee and then the leading partner. And then also the second area of concern is so this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at page 148, and it is a branded letter congratulating Pat Polachek for her accomplishments on sitting on this board. When we brand it with the Town of Smoky Lake as the managing partner, the physician healthcare is a regional committee that is money comes from the county and it comes from the villages. So I feel that even though administration did a good job on the letter itself, the branding should have all the logos, very similar to what we do with Ukrainian twinning. We had a brochure. We include all the logos of the villages, the county, and the town. And it makes for better partnerships. So I'd like to have it rebranded and then put as a media release and shared with the villages and the county, if that's okay with council. Nothing wrong with the way it's done. I just think that to be more inclusive and to work on those partnerships.
Yeah.
Can
I ask who is in charge of media?
It's communications, maybe.
Communications. Who's in
For
charge?
the town,
Yes.
that's typically Cheryl. She does our accounts payable, and it typically sits with her. Although a couple other people have access to manage that, so yeah.
Yeah. So, and is that okay with admin?
Yeah, I had talked to the individual about where she felt comfortable with it being released, and I don't think she really wanted it released locally, but it's a good point on the branding.
It's on the county website.
I know.
Okay. So should we circle back or?
No, that's okay. I think, it's out there but it is a good note on the rebranding. So we can look at doing that for all of our press releases from that group.
And again, and it's just, unlike say Highway 2863, they have their own logo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't have a logo with Physician Healthcare, maybe in the future, who knows? So the motion will be to add the logos from the Smoky Lake County, Village of Vilna, Village of Wasetna, and share with the 2 villages and the county for media release purposes on their Facebook or social media posts. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. And that takes us to 12.1. So again, some correspondence. We're gonna omit E, so A, B, C, E and F on page 111, and Deputy Mayor Kodlak moves that the town of Smoky Lake file for information the correspondence items A, B, C, E, and F. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. And taking us now to the tabled item, we did 7. Sorry. Someone help me, what do you do? Glenda McGinnis, 7.2 delegation, Glenda McGinnis. And the recommendation is on page 7.2, which is 26.
We go closed on this.
That's what my notes say. And I think, I'm wondering if we are going to need a 2/3 unanimous to.
Okay, yeah.
So before we go into closed session, we're going to have reconsideration of motion. The previous motion of council was made, I pulled that up, 738 or. Motion number 738 from October 5th. No, it's 858 or something like that. Can you imagine we're gonna have 1,000 motions this year? Like, what is the council doing? Who's making all these motions, guys? Ladies and gentlemen,
Sorry.
that's not a happy face. So we're looking at October 6th, the regular council meeting minutes, and the motion is in closed session, coming out of closed session. And so it's under 14.1, so whatever motion number that was, you look at November's meeting, or November 18th meeting minutes. The November 18th agenda, which show October 6th motion.
806-2025.
Okay, so it's motion number, I'm looking for 2/3 reconsideration of council to reconsider motion number 806, made by previous council to extend only one of the, to make one extension.
Okay, that was only, I have the lot if you want any of that, but just,
Okay.
I don't think it's necessary.
I'm winging it. I have nothing in front of me. So as long as Crystal has that for the minutes, right now, a motion
Just for that single one.
for reconsideration of this request.
One extension was granted in October.
Yeah, one extension was granted and we heard from the delegation today. So would this new council reconsider discussing the motion? Okay, all in favor? So we have unanimous, so go ahead. Then the next motion would be going into closed session. And Councilor Rosachuk moves that we go into closed session at 8:42 p.m. to discuss the request for extension under ATIA section
19.
19.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you. All in favor? We're voting.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay.
See you later.
Have a
good night.
You got it, buddy. Hope it's quiet.
Voting. All agree, the motion is carried. Thank you. Also, our Deputy Mayor Kodlak has the motion to come out of closed session, 8:49 p.m. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. Councilor Churn is going to move that Town of Smoky Lake extend the development permit request date for 1 year on lot 9, block 6, plan 0721842. Lot 17, block 6, plan 0721842. Lot 19, block 6, plan 0721842. And lot 20, block 6, plan 0721842. And direct administration to notify Glenda McGinnis of the extension.
Madam Mayor.
Friendly amendment?
Also, yeah, also an amendment to the deadline for construction for a year.
And to coincide with the new development deadline for construction date being February 1st, 2029
6, whole night, yeah.
for all of the aforementioned properties.
Yep.
Okay, that's the motion. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. We're going back into closed session for 14.1. Daycare, and that's 851, sorry, 14.1 pumpkin patch daycare, ATIA section 19, disclosure harmful to the business interests of the third party at 8:51 p.m. by Deputy Mayor Kudlak. All in favor, the motion is carried. Thank you. Councillor Scarf has the motion to come out of closed session at 8:58 p.m. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. I'm going to take the motion, please. That's if you don't mind. I'm going to move that the Town of Smoky Lake Direct Administration to provide the Smoky Lake Pumpkin Patch Cooperative Daycare a written notice to withdraw from the board and any financial contributions in a 3-month time period effective March 31st. As discussed in closed session. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. Going back into closed session at 8:59 p.m. to discuss 185 Whiter Street, 55 Wheatland Avenue, under ATIA section 9. Councillor Deputy Mayor Kodlak has that motion. All in favor?
19, section 19.
Yeah, it says right here.
You said 9. I just.
19, sorry. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah, that's
sorry.
good.
19, all in favor, and the motion is carried, 8:59 p.m. Motion, thank you. Okay, motion to come out of closed session at 9:16 p.m. by Deputy Mayor Kodla. And Councillor Scarf has a motion. Vote, oh yeah. It's my first meeting. All in favor, motion is carried, thank you.
I have the motion to defer item 14.2, 55th White Earth Street to a meeting on January. Am I saying it wrong? January 13th.
Friendly amendment, 185 Whiter Street, 55
officially
Wheatland
changed that.
Avenue.
Yes, thank you.
All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. Motion to go into closed session at 9:17 p.m. to discuss the CAO. Second, thanks, Pam. CAO check-in, ATIA section 20. Or no, you know what? Let's not go into closed session. So I think, so here's the discussion. Historically. Sorry. Historically, we, so last year, this year, January 6th, we did the CAO evaluation and it was brought back to the February meeting. So we do CAO evaluations at the beginning of the year. Our current CAO has been with us under a year, but we can still do a performance review and use that as a have that discussion or not. And then we did have some discussion on December 4th, which I don't have the minutes, so I don't have a motion. We talked about signing or directing CAO Fighton to do some work for the organization. And I'm thinking at this point, we might just go into closed session to discuss that further. And Councilor Rosechek has that motion to go into closed session at 19 PM on ATIA section 20 disclosure harmful to personal privacy. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. Do we have to let Shane go or? Okay, Ms. Eastel, motion to come out of closed session at 9:45 PM. Deputy Mayor Kodlak. So 9:45. Okay. Motion from closed session is to direct Town of Smoky Lake Council direct CAO Fighton to prepare a written organizational review internal document report to present to council at the February regular council meeting to identify strengths, inefficiencies, gaps, and opportunities for improvements of all Town of Smoky Lake departments, as previously discussed in closed session. All in favor? The motion is carried. I'd like to adjourn the meeting by motion at 9:46 PM. All in favor? Thank you, and thank you, everyone. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas.
Christmas,